This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning, and we also take a look at the political pieces we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 19th of March 2020, and I am DM.
I'm Tom.
And I am GK, and in case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Star, Corona, Cabinet to discuss lockdown as job losses loom. In the Daily Nation, coronavirus, how to rescue the economy. And in the Standard, Mr. President, Kenyans want more money. So we're still on Corona.
Absolutely.
We have increased cases.
Yeah.
I think we're up to seven now.
Seven
Confirmed cases.
Yeah.
But the Star is saying we need to discuss the lockdown.
Absolutely. The Cabinet actually met to do that this morning.
Yeah.
And the Star is also telling us that the government is concerned that Kenyans are not taking this social distancing thing seriously. It's a holiday where people are moving around.
And still congregating in bars.
Yes, and for that reason, the government plans to impose a mandatory lockdown.
Okay.
And I suppose we'll be told by tomorrow.
Much like what we saw in Italy and China and restricting actual movement.
Exactly, and that the armed forces are going to implement it or to enforce it.
Yes.
But then also in the agenda in the cabinet meeting is the economic impact of the coronavirus, which is actually quite worrisome.
Absolutely.
Because as the Star headline is telling us, there are some job losses expected. Already 1,000 flower farm workers have been laid off, of course, because the biggest market, Europe, has closed its borders. So we can't export the flowers. Same thing to EPZ factory workers because of lack of raw materials. And also the borders are closed, so they can't export the products.
So we brace ourselves here.
Brace ourselves.
So in the Daily Nation, we have coronavirus, how to rescue the economy. And it basically gives a very grim picture of what we can expect to be the impact on the Kenyan economy. It even references a UN report on the economic impact of COVID-19. It says that African growth will be cut by half, from 3.2% to about 1.8%. But also the private sector, KEPSA, the alliance has come together to ask, what can we do? Some banks have agreed to restructure loans. Majority of them have refused so far, not playing ball. But they have ceded and given us that you can check your bank balances for free, which is a far cry from what other countries have done. I'll just give you really quickly. The US has said that they plan to spend 100 trillion shillings to rescue its economy, and it will send each American worker about 100,000 shillings and give 30 trillion to small businesses, shillings. The UK, 42 trillion will be spent on the crisis, money going to support government-backed loans to SMEs and all sorts, and to pay salaries. In Japan, 400 billion shillings on a package for SMEs as well. Italy, 4.9 trillion, and Berlin, 60 trillion. Everyone is doing their part to sort of buffer what their citizens are about to go through.
Absolutely.
And I think we should also put our humanity, not just our capitalism, to the test.
Absolutely, and we hope that those are some of the things that are going to come out of the cabinet meeting that was held today.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
What will the government do for us?
Exactly, and I think the Standard references the same thing.
Precisely. I mean, Kenyans want more money. Look, it would be a little bit inconvenient, convenient for guys to ask government for money. However, government can still cushion. We are not the UK, we are not the US, we are not Japan. We cannot give stipends to people as much as we would want to. However, yesterday we spoke about something. We can ask government, we can ask private sector to actually give stipends to their workers.
In lieu of tax breaks.
In lieu of tax breaks.
Okay, great.
Let government give tax breaks to this to the companies that is actually giving stipends to workers. Because if they don't, what's going to happen is social disorder, what you keep talking about. People have to eat at the end of the day. You cannot quarantine Kibera and tell them to stay there, and yet all of them work in industrial area. You cannot quarantine Mathare to tell them stay in your places, yet all of them work in the city center. You have to be practical about this. Let them be paid a daily stipend by people, but then in return, the tax break.
The question is, what about people who can't get a stipend? We were referencing the hawker yesterday. If you get your daily provisions from your day's returns from selling on the street, what happens?
Minimum bare requirement. It is impossible to reach everyone. However, I think the military in this case can give daily food packs, as we were talking about yesterday. All right. If they survive hand to mouth, then why don't you have 2 ungas? You have milk, you have mafuta ya kupikia, grain, and let them line up across a social hall. By 6, everybody is home. That's the only way to mitigate this.
There you have it. Also, in the context of having a new sheriff in town. For Nairobi County, you now have a general, a 3-star. Oh, I don't know what they're called, but you have a general.
Major General Mohammed Badi.
I really wonder if Sonko knew what he was signing over.
You know, let me tell you. You know what this tells us also? That Sonko's mess was so bad that it takes the military to clean it up.
I actually don't think so. I don't think so.
So he's now a ceremonial governor.
Sonko was pragmatic, you know, and he saved face.
He was a man between a rock and a hard
place. You are trying to save his face.
Let me put it this way. Uhuru Kenyatta is very Machiavellian, and he has used Corona to great effect. Number one, yes, Nairobi needs military precision-like action, but also Uhuru Kenyatta is fortifying the state against anyone who will bring nyoko-nyoko.
I think soon we're going to start seeing our president in ceremonial dress more often.
He will.
I think he was a general in another life.
Let me tell you, this man is head of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Be very sure. You see, when you see City Council askaris lining up across Kenyatta Avenue, and Sonko is going Goridi La Heshma, the next thing you'll see is a military in Nairobi, and the president is going to do a guard of honor.
I also think that the president took this particular action in the face of Corona. Because as we've been talking about on this table, there is the grim possibility of social disorder.
That is true.
Because we're coming into a time where people are not going to be able to access provisions. People are going to lose their livelihoods, and they're going to ask, what is the government doing for us?
But remember, this man will outlast Corona. He is there to stay.
I believe that.
There is a thread that the president has seen that we're probably not privy to.
Wow. Okay. Well, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines. We ask ourselves, is it topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? And is it thoughtful or just plain lazy?
Yes.
I'm a fan of the Standard.
So am I, Mr. President.
Same here.
Kenyans need more money. Can't be more succinct than that.
Same here.
Dustbin for the rest?
Yes. On to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, where we also have a 3-part criteria that we use. We ask ourselves, is it humorous or dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And is it effective or just plain lazy?
Now we have Gado. And Gado has a caricature of Ukur Yatani, CS Treasury. And there they at the Treasury Vault. And next to him is a World Bank and IMF Mzungus. And the World Bank guy is holding debt status sustainability analysis paper. And inside the vault of the Treasury is China bond, IFMS spending bills, and Eurobond. And Ukur Yatani is holding next to the vault coronavirus, and he's saying, now we have a new entrant.
This is brilliant. Gado has drawn Yatani looking very gleeful. Like Corona has presented such a good excuse for us not to pay our debt. The money wasn't there to begin with.
Yes, but also what Gado is telling us is that Treasury is empty. The things that are there are only China bond, which is money to China, pending bills,
and a wine
Eurobond,
bottle.
and IFMS, and a wine bottle. Oh, jeez.
But it won't just be Kenya. That's, I think we can take comfort in that. There's going to be a lot of countries not being able to pay their debt the way they're supposed to.
Good cartoon.
Very pocket.
Yeah. And here you have Nick Mwendwa, FKF president. And, oh, jeez, he sat on a ball that looks like coronavirus. And he's being cleansed by some sanitizer. And the sanitizer is SDT. You know what that stands for. And the caption there is, another virus killing Kenyan football.
Are they calling this man a virus?
No, he's sitting on a virus.
No, but then they're saying another virus because there are 2 viruses in the picture.
Oh, possibly. So that's why he needs to be sanitized. Not a bad cartoon, but
I don't understand football, but I want to guess that it's a commentary on his bad leadership, I suppose, or plundering. I don't know.
I think so.
Well, this is funny.
Would you
it's a confessional.
Yeah. Oh, it's a confessional.
Yeah. For people who go to church to end.
You're going to say it was a bathroom.
On one side, You have the priest. In this case, it's the caricature of the governor of the central bank, Patrick Njoroge.
Oh, right.
And on the other side, you have borrowers. And the borrowers are saying, forgive us, governor, the interest rates are high. And then the governor is saying, I hereby extend the repayment period. But wait, who do you see peeking in the background? The coronavirus with a snotty nose.
It has a makamasi.
Oh, this is so funny. I like how as you were explaining the cartoon, it was slowly getting. 2M was getting a revelation.
Yeah.
He had thought it's a bathroom.
I mean, now I get it. Now he actually looks like governor.
Corona has been a blessing and a curse all at the very same time, because it's giving some people much needed reprieve and in an economy that was quite tough for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But let's hope that the CBK is able to sort of twist the arms of banks.
Yes.
And see what we can get from them.
In fact, he has the power to call for a monetary policy committee, policy committee meeting, and have interest rates slashed further.
The cartoon is very apt because in real life he is a priest. Is
He's
he?
A priest,
or he belongs to an order?
Yes. What do they call them?
Opus Dei.
Opus Dei.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. So who gives us our...
I think the contender is Gado or
Ndula. I like Ndula.
So do I.
Yeah, so Ndula of the Daily Nation gives us our winning cartoon. What is our final thought?
And now our final thought. It is inspired by a book entitled, where's my book, guys? It's stolen.
Can I help you? The Logic of Violence
in War by Stathis Calivas. And today, guys, we shall review the civil war of the Congo, the civil wars of the Congo.
Of the Congos, there are two modern day countries that have very similar name. And that is the Republic of Congo, also called Congo Brazzaville, or the Congo Republic, or West Congo, or the former French Congo, or simply the Congo. And the Democratic Republic of Congo, also known as the DRC.
Absolutely.
And you differentiate because one's capital is Brazzaville and the other one's is Kinshasa. So we're talking about Kinshasa.
And they're separated by a big pond.
A big pond called the Congo River.
The Congo River, the mighty Congo River. So the two Congos, unfortunately, have seen more than their fair share of war and conflict and strife. The DRC itself had the first Congo War, also known as Africa's First War, First World War, which took place between 1996 and 97, so it was short and intense. But then thereafter, the Second Congo War, also known as the Great War of Africa, or the Great African War, ensued in 1998, and it lasted all the way to the year 2003. So the Congo's trouble, like for many other African countries, have a colonial heritage. They started experiencing oppression and plunder and rape and killings and mutilations under King Leopold II and his reign of terror. At that time, the Congo was a personal fiefdom of Leopold until 1908 when the Belgian parliament took over. But it was just a continuation of colonialism and oppression in other ways. The Belgians, of course, plundered the country in conjunction with other Western nations, and the plundering exists to date. So during the Belgian rule, there were several anti-colonial resistant movements, yet other spates of conflict and violence. And they started as far back as 1892. Then in 1921, there was the Kibanguist movement led by Simon Kibangu, who was a prophet. And thereafter, there was a peasant revolt, and then there was also the Mulele movement and, and many other uprisings. Eventually, colonialism came to an end on the 30th of June 1960. But unfortunately, that was not the end of the violent history of the Congos. In fact, we might even say it was the beginning of a second phase of terrible violence. Fast forward to 1996, where the First Congo War began. A coalition force invaded Kinshasa. Invaded the country, led by Laurent Kabila, to overthrow Mobutu Sese Seko, who was installed by the Americans in 1965. Of course, their history is very short, so we're giving a very brief summary. In the war, thousands of Hutus were murdered. Remember that Laurent Kabila had Rwandese ties and Ugandan ties. But when he became president, he solidified his dictatorship and cut ties with the two countries, Uganda and Rwanda, who were not happy. And this led to their invasion of the country in 1998, which resulted in the Second Congo War. The bloody and long war dragged on until 2003. It is estimated that 1.7 million Hutu Congolese died in that war. But there are many other estimates that show a much higher number because it was not just from the violence. The deaths also arose from starvation and other factors. So the Congolese people have had it rough.
They've had it for a long time. You know, yesterday we spoke about the original sin, and the original sin and that was in the context of NFT and the context of colonialism in Kenya and Somalia. Now, the original sin here, again, in my view, was foreign interests, and the context was extraction. Now, foreign interests between who and who. In the Congo, Brazzaville, and also in the DRC's thing is the French interest versus American interest. Now, in 1997, October 16th, a man called President Pascal Lisoba was deposed by, I think now President, Mr. Sassou Nguesso. And Sassou Nguesso was said to have been supported by the French. And immediately after he took over, apparently he gave the French 3/4 a deal to extract oil from Congo Brazzaville.
Imagine.
But then how did he take power? Now there's a French company, oil company, allegedly, it's called ELF. And ELF was able to actually give Nguesso's boys, a militia, financing routes of how they actually finance ammunition. Yes, now to get ammunition and arms into Congo Brazzaville. Now, Lisoba, who was actually elected in 1992, gave an American company called Occidental Petroleum, again allegedly called the company is called Oxy. He gave them oil rights to extract oil from Congo Brazzaville. Now, these guys went actually ahead to pay salaries of the entire Congo Brazzaville government. Salaries, all of them. This company is called Oxy. Now, it is not just that. You see, there are also regional interests. There's a country called Angola, not too far down south, the Congo. Now, Angola was this company called ELF shows up again in Angola and is still the main extracting oil company in Angola. Now, Angola had a bit of civil war, and the guys that were trying to fight government were called UNITA. UNITA was also very responsible and very much at home in the Congo. Now, the reason why Angola got involved is because they needed money to crush UNITA in the Congo Brazzaville as well. Now, you ask, how does Kinshasa come into play? Now, Kabila, at the time where Lisoba was being deposed, he supported Lisoba. And that's because he was seen to be supported by the Americans. The man that was actually there before Kabila, who was called Mobutu Sese Seko, was actually fronting French interest. So the moment Mobutu was gotten rid of by Kabila, it was seen as the end of French interests in DRC.
Although they've continued.
Although they've continued. But you can see the axis. It's all about extraction.
The axis is so wide. I mean, so far we have talked about 7 countries in this war.
I mean,
the 2 foreign countries, Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, Brazzaville, the DRC and Angola.
It's absolutely crazy.
And so DRC continues to have this prolonged and continued conflict. In fact, it's been one of the sources of humanitarian crises around the world. But this is crazy because this is one of the biggest countries in sub-Saharan Africa, one of the richest on paper and actually in reality, right? It's said to have about $24 trillion dollars worth of minerals.
That's the GDP of...
Yes. We're talking copper, diamonds, gold. It's also really fertile. Like their farmlands are...
Yes, very fertile.
There are people even here we've had have farms, possibly in the Congo. We won't mention their names. Anyway, it's interesting. Rwanda has been a huge predatory state towards the DRC, and we've seen that even through the years. It is said that their invasion in 1966 has sent Congo into a tailspin that it has been yet to recover from. Now, the Rwandese are known as the Israelis of Africa. They have a very strong patriotic army, but they've really caused some damage in the eastern area of DRC, the Goma area next to Lake Kivu. And the reason there again is to do with the resources, the minerals that are there. And for years, the Tutsi militias have really tried to carve out that zone of influence. And even the international community has had to come and step in and tell the Rwandese, come on.
Back off.
Back off. You need to stop this.
The international community is telling them to back off.
Imagine.
And who's been responsible all this while?
And Goma has also been a source of dollars for a lot of the regions around,
Absolutely.
right? A lot of the banking areas in Rwanda just border that area.
Yeah, precisely.
Just showing you how important that city is, being the largest.
Yeah.
Anyway, the wars in Congo, especially that Eastern DRC, are not really about competing visions of our country. It's not about their ideals or the nation's fate or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's not capitalism fighting communism. It's not Sunni Muslims fighting the Shiites. It's not Kurds fighting the Turks.
Yeah.
And there's no philosophical or religious fundamental destinies that are clashing.
Absolutely. And if we could ground it to the book that we are referring to, The Logic of Violence in War, in the DRC, there is no privatization of violence because of what you are saying.
Yeah.
There is no ideology that as an individual, I am saying I'm picking up arms because I am fighting for my nation.
Yes.
It's the people of the DRC who are constantly acted upon.
Yes.
So there is what he calls indiscriminate violence in this space. But then also, there is no politicization of private life. As you were saying, there is no ideology that people aspire to.
Exactly.
So they're actually becoming apolitical people, just surviving.
Exactly. And so one of the hypotheses out there is that violence is not a means to a higher end in DRC. It is just the expression of this deeper social, political, and historical rot that has existed. And so you find that you're witnessing how war can become systemic and normal in a region. And so you're trapped in this violent tension and mistrust that constantly just continues through all the civil wars. You can argue there's a civil war happening even as we speak, but it never actually really ended in 2003. But so then the reason is, they say that the DRC's problems are going beyond the civil protection or armed groups or the militias. It's and even beyond the unregulated mineral trade. There's an absence of state in a lot of the DRC. So there's a lot of areas that are just not manned. The state cannot possibly reach, perhaps due to size. And so people take that opportune moment to create their own little factions. But imagine in an area where you can have 30 militia groups, all wanting different things, no unified vision, and no unified reason for their existence. And that's why you find they're easily exposed and used by the international community. Choice architects, right? So you find that a lot of citizens in DRC are very alienated, and they feel very far removed from state governance and whatever else is going on. So it's been interesting. And listen, in modern times, just like we said about the primacy of the dollar, the international actors, the dollar is perhaps far more important than the franc. And you guys visited DRC recently.
We did have the privilege, 2M&I, of visiting Kinshasa late last year. And I think it's not all doom and gloom. We were actually quite impressed. I was very impressed getting even the first drive into Kinshasa, into the city. There has never been war in Kinshasa. Even at least when Kabila marched in, Mobutu had surrendered and fled. It's a beautiful city by the water. People there are so vibrant. But then it's also one of those cities and countries that is full of opportunity, of economic opportunity. And people are so resilient and so innovative. And very fashionable.
And very fashionable.
In my hotel room, I felt like I could touch, what do you call it, Congo Brazzaville. Because the water was right here. The Congo River just passes here. And if you see Congo Brazzaville right there, I was like, imagine if these two guys were to fight. Two urban centers would actually be destroyed in a matter of hours.
But instead of fighting, they're actually building a bridge worth about $500 million American dollars.
Fantastic.
Which will even boost their economy further.
And DRC has come from far. When the Belgians left DRC, there were only 30 native-born university graduates. 30. Right. So yes, they're struggling to convert the amount of wealth they have into something really good. But I think they're getting there.
Absolutely.
They are
There's
getting
definitely promise
There is promise in the face
absolutely.
of, I think they had the worst colonial experience.
So on a day where we had a winning headline from the Standard and a winning cartoon from the Daily Nation, I want to leave you with this. Even in Congo, where conflicts are happening, people are having birthdays, weddings, deaths, celebrations.
When there is no coronavirus.
When there's no coronavirus. I mean, and for them, they're so well equipped as well with Ebola. They've been social distancing and things like that.
They haven't shaken hands in 4 years.
But as we say, a luta continua, the struggle continues.
Viva.
Viva. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, but also find us on TV. We're on GoTV, Pan Future, and StarTimes. Have a good evening.